Good evening, YouTube. A bit full of goats here. Before we begin this video, I thought I'd just apologise if the lighting is a bit weird because I am filming my room for the first time. Today I'm going to show you my updated Mannadium deck profile. Mostly because I actually have some of the most expensive cards now. This is still the Bystial build. I think it's still the best build of the deck. And this is obviously pre the new support coming out, so I'll be doing an update once that happens. I did this the locals on Tuesday and went 3-1 with it. So let's see how we did, shall we? Starting things off, we have 2 Visa Starfrosts. This is obviously the key to the whole deck. Pretty much every spell in the deck can work with this card, either searching it or get that effect when it's on the field. I don't think you need 3 in this particular build, because we play so much non-engine with the Bystial cards that 2 of this is often enough to give it to your players. You could have this as 3 if you have 3, but I don't think I don't feel like spending another 30 on another one. I'm going to the Scareclaw engine, 2 Rag cards, and 1 Rag Phobia and 1 Arrival. One thing I will change in the future is probably play a second of the field spell, because there were a couple of times where I did go into the link and didn't have anything to search. So yeah, but Rag card is a good starter because it gets you access to the monster board. You can then use this to either go into your Mannadium plays with Room Heart, or your Link plays, and then bring it back and carry on your plays from there. Also, if you do have to make a bit of board first with defense monsters, you can summon defense, draw an extra card, get more resources. Next, the biggest part of the deck, the Mannadium engine. So we're starting off with 3 Room Hearts. The best of the Visas in this deck. Room Heart can summon himself by popping a monster with the Visa stats, or in Mannadium. This lets you trigger off your Mannadium effects. It lets you switch a Mannadium from deck to hand. So this both adds cards to your hand and extends your play on the field, especially if you've got the field spell in play. He also gives you access to negations in the form of the traps, or more searching in the form of the spells. Next up, the Mannadiums themselves. Triple Fearless and Triple Meek. I look forward to being able to play the Fire one when the new set comes out, and cutting the Meeks down a bit, because they are just level 2 tuners most of the time. But the Meeks, on the other hand, you can use these to go into your level 6s, then they can come back at 4s, giving you instant access to your level 10s. Like I said, this will be a lot better when we get the Fire one. They can also search Meek, but for now, it's not bad. Next up, we have the Field Spell, 3 copies of Calarium. This card is broken. It lets you search any Mannadium monster, which of course gives you access to the Room Heart or an orb, whatever you need. And when a Mannadium is destroyed, you can send it back to the field. So you can summon an orb, pop it with Room Heart, get another search, bring that orb back, another one, then you've got level 8 or level 10, whatever you need. Next, the best card for the tier build of the deck, 3 Obscussions. This card lets you destroy a Mannadium card to add the field spell to your hand, but if you already have the field spell, you can search out any other Mannadium spell trap. Meaning you can access to the Infinity Barrier trap, the Revival trap, or the draw card. Again, if you're playing the tier build of this deck, you can use pop a tier and get your fusion plays going from there. I'm not playing that build right now, but I may try it in the future. And for our final one-of cards, we have 1 Imaginings, 1 Breakheart, and 1 Reframing. So Imaginings lets you reveal a Mannadium, draw 2 cards, point at the bottom. This helps if your hand gets stacked too full of Bystials. You can shuffle 1 away, or if you've got too many of the same orb. Then we have these. This is our Infinity Barrier of the deck. If you've got a Synchro or a Visa on the field, you can flip this and negate a spell trap or monster effect. And if your card is a Visas you have on the field, you can destroy the card. This brings back Synchros and can pop cards on the field. Honestly though, I think in the future I might cut this and just play 2 remaining instead, because this rarely came up on Tuesday. Next up, the Bystial package, which up to its last profile. We're now playing triple copies of Magnamut, because in the grind, this is one of the best ways to refill your hand. And also, sometimes if Bystials are big enough, you can just win with Dragon Beatdown with them. So having more access to them is really good. Next up, we have 2 copies of Druid Worm. This is the removal card. I actually am playing the continuous cards now, so having more ways to the graveyard for an extra pop is really good. Then we have 1 Baldrake, a card I severely underestimated, because he can shut down a lot of tech by just banishing one of their best cards, and he can also trigger Baldrake for an additional pop. Sorry, not Baldrake, Druid Worm for an additional pop. And finally, we have 2 copies of Rebellion. I play 3 if I had 3. You can get this to search any of your Bystials, starting your combos with Magnum Mood, getting a pop with Duelist Worm, and you can get you access to these 2 cards, Branded Beast and Branded Regained. Now, Branded Beast, you can send a Bystial from field to grave to pop a card. Again, with Duelist Worm, that gives you 2 pops. Or you can put the best card is by far Regained, because when you banish a card, you can shuffle it back to the bottom of your deck and then draw a card. One thing this deck has struggled with in the past is keeping its hand full past turn 1, so it's a good way to get resources back. Next, the newest card in the deck, 2 Assault Synchrons. This card is really good, but it's also not searchable in this build. So I think in the future I might either cut down to 1 or try to play a way to search it, like tuning, or maybe try Sprite, the Gigantic Sprite. You pay 700 points, you can summon this. It locks you to synchro summoning while it's on the field. It's not that big a problem. And then when a dragon is distributed to bash, you can bash it and bring it back. This combos well with things like Stardust Dragon. You can combo well with the Assault Dragon, or with the Bystial Synchro. Then we have Rota Search Room Hats. And our final card is, it can be anything, but I chose to play Ash Blossom, because there's a lot of branded in my locals. But I'm thinking in the future, what I might do is cut these and play a Call by the Grave and Crossroad Designator, because Draw Lockbird can be a real pain of this deck. So we'll see how this goes in the future. This can be pretty much anything you need. You could play more Bystials, you could play a tuning package to get Assault Synchron, you could play some back row. This is the most flexible spot in the deck. Moving on to the extra deck, we have 1 Funko Pop. And this card still looks like a fan-made hat. Scareclaw Light Hat, you summon it with a Visa Star Frost or Scareclaw. It can bring us back to the field if you control Visas, giving you more extension. It's a pretty decent starter in the deck. Next we have 1 Cross Sheep. This can get us a card back if we fusion summon, and it can give you monsters a buff to go for game if you synchro summon. I looked that up because I've never actually used it, but yeah, it's a really good card. And our final link is 1 Appaloosa, because sometimes if our synchro players are stopped, we have enough ways to fill the board with monsters. We can make a 3-form material Appaloosa quite easy. I think maybe in the future I might play more links, maybe an IP Unicorn package. We'll have to see how that goes. For the fusions in the deck, Dragoon, still one of the best cards in the deck. You make this off of Muddy Mud Dragon and a Bystial. It's a negate. It can't be targeted. It's very hard to out. This card's basically a custom card that they accidentally printed. But speaking of Mud Dragon targets, I've got a much spicier brew for you. Yep, we're playing Buster Blade of the Dragon Destroying Swordsman. And to complement that, of course, we're playing a Buster Dragon. This lock is very hard for people to out. You know what? I've often called this deck Virtual World with more balls. And here is our VFD combo, because if you can get this on the field, you pretty much got your opponent locked down and as far as their monsters go. Because this turns every card into a dragon, and this turns all the opponent's dragons into defense and skill drains them. It also has piercing damage, and it gains 1,000 points for every dragon, so it's an easy way to mop up the game going second. I got this off twice last time, and both times the opponent scooped when I got this lock on. It's very hard to out for most decks right now. And for Final Fusion, we have Vicious Astroud. This is a good going second card because it can remove a monster and gain points. It's another way to pop your Mannadium cards for more effects. And if you're playing the tournament's build, it's a good way to get Dragon Spelia. The rest of these are just synchros. 1 Stardust Charge Warrior. It's a synchro climb and draw a card while we're doing so. I always switch to the main Mud Dragon. For the 8s, we have 1 Excel Dragon and my original Stardust. Honestly, I'll play this deck just because I can play this original Stardust Dragon in it. So those who don't know, Excel Dragon, when it's summoned, moves like a tuner, which means you can climb to level 10s, and you can also tribute it, get a Stardust out, and then you can sync someone if you can. So if you haven't got a tuner on the board, you just get free protection for the rest of your board. One thing I should note is, though, this does work like Starlight Road, so if you use the Stardust Dragon's effect, it will not come back at the end phase. But there are plenty of ways to summon this regularly in this deck, if you want the protection. Next up we have 1 Crystal Wing. Enter the synchro climb this much, getting this out is a breeze. He's going to just charge warrior with a Mannadium, get this out. That's negating a pop. Then we have Borrowload Savage Dragon, which honestly, if I put them all links in, I'll keep this in, but I'm going to something this out for something else. Because there are plenty of times where I couldn't really make this, because I didn't have enough links. We'll see how this goes. And our final 2 level 10s. 1 Sword Soul Shengyang and 1 Bystial Disparter, because I still haven't given Baron de Fleur a good reprint yet. Although, in all honesty, I generally think I'd rather play a second Bystial Disparter in this particular build. Because this is also a negate, but it can also pop cards, and it can recycle our resources by getting back the cards we banished with the Bystials. And Shengyang, great going second, because he can put himself up and swing for a lot of damage. He's also hard to remove, because if he's been destroyed, he can pop a card instead. So yeah, honestly, I'm pretty happy with this extra deck. I would probably play Baron if he was cheaper. And I'd probably also play a second Disparter if I can get one. But yeah, it went pretty well. And for the side deck, first we're playing a Super Poly package. This is I don't want to main this because there's some decks that this just can't be made with. I don't have the Chimera yet, so just use that. 2 Lightning Storms because it was the stupidest summon ever. Obviously, this is for decks like Labyrinth to clear their back row, or against decks that don't put up too many negates. Then we have, speaking of back row hate, 2 Twisters, 1 Harpies. These could be Cosmics, but I don't have Cosmics, and these are just as good in my meta. And now my favourite sideboard tech, 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Going first, setting up my ashes to this. No one sees it coming. This card at the right time can just cripple a lot of decks. The half-life points thing can be a problem depending on what you're against, but in a lot of matchups, it's nothing. So yeah, definitely good going first surprise for the opponent. And speaking of going first traps, 3D barriers, there's a lot of Sword Soul, a lot of Branded, and a lot of Cashier in my locals, so this is a good way to shut them down. This card should be banned, it's just a I win button against a lot of decks. But as long as it's still playable, I'm going to keep playing it. So yeah, that's the current build of the deck. When the next set comes out, you'll probably see an update with the new Visas, the new Mannadium card, and a few other extras. But until then, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys on Friday for the next scripted content. See you soon.